you can intro Garima to the forum here.
Yeah. Yeah. So Garima has a day job. She's like a learning designer and a content accessibility program lead at AWS, Amazon Web Services. And she's like making technical learning solutions for almost 20,000 global users. And I think this one, a lot of these development and advocating like what is important for people and making sure that it's resonating. She's also doing that in as a personal coach, and she's been like a relationship coach for many people, and especially as this is like a community for South Asian immigrant women, so we all have like certain roots, but also we come here and we face a lot of these visa struggles, and at the same time like a lot of personal milestones that we go through, like getting married, like be or finding getting your partner, like knowing your partner. So there are like a lot of these personal relationships that is also like a part of your journey as you're moving countries. So I think Garima is going to really dive deep into like what are these roots, what are these wings, like how do you find your particular specific identity, and also how you build these personal relationships, like these healthy personal relationships. So a lot of these problems as you immigrate could actually seep into your relationships. So yeah, I think I have personally felt it. How a lot of these immigration hurdles, they come into this and you're so frustrated, and yeah, and I think we are here to hear from Garima as how it is, how we can navigate this as an immigrant woman.
Thank you so much, Sandhya. To confirm real quick, do we have Garima on the call?
Yeah, I have pinned Garima's. Yeah.
Hey,
Hi, Garima. Hey, nice to have you here. And fun fact about how Vahati got connected with Garima in the first place. I want to add that element because it was very unusual and unique to get connected with Garima. So I am part of Amazon as well. I'm a software developer at Amazon. And back when we were starting Vahati, I had this small thought in my head. I was like, hey, I'm at Amazon. There are so many South Asian immigrant women at Amazon. Maybe some of them might find this useful. Like, we should try putting out a word and just see. And I was hesitant, nervous, but also wanting to spread the word around. We are doing something for South Asian expat women here at Bahati. And anyone who resonates with it, like be a participant, be a mentor, anyone who resonates with the cause. I created like a small Slack channel, and I said, let's talk about it. Let's post our events here. And Garima was the first person to say, hey, why are you doing this only in Seattle? This should be, a nationwide thing because we share similar stories. And at that moment, I was like, she's right. Why just Seattle? It is kind of like nationwide. And so many of us navigate different journeys in our own ways. But immigration has its influence on our journeys in different ways. So Garima was the first person and a strong advocate I connected to within Amazon, who I did not have to explain anything when I just said, like, emotional resilience for South Asian immigrant women. She was like, I know what you're talking about. And it was super amazing to get that first encouragement and validation from someone within Amazon, because I had never connected with any Amazonian in that aspect before. It was mostly around work. It was mostly around like the software development aspect. So Garima, I want to extend my personal thanks to you first for jumping in on that ship and openly chatting with me about your insights and so many valuable things you had to add. And it's an honor to have you here today. And without taking much time from you, I'm gonna give the stage to you now.
hey, thank you, Surabhi. And I'm so grateful that you did reach out on the Slack channel because I have been wanting to do such a thing for a long time, but with my coaching, my kids, and the job, I've never had a time. So when I saw that you're doing it, I was like, hey, I want to join forces, and I would love to do something like that. So I want to congratulate you on whatever you're doing. Your entire team has done a fantastic job to be able to run a conference. Hybrid conference is an amazing feat. People take years to perfect this. And you guys have, like, I've been a part of the virtual conference since the morning, and I've been enjoying all the sessions you've put together.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Cool. Hi, everybody. Thanks for the kind introduction, both to Sandhya and Surabhi. I am not going to spend a lot of time initially on my introduction, but I'm going to share my heartfelt story. I'm already telling you there might be moments you feel triggered. There might be situations and times where you feel, oh my God, she's speaking something wrong or something controversial. Totally okay. Let your emotions be where they are and just be with me. I want to just show you my journey of how immigration impacted me, what changes it brought in me, and the roller coaster that I went through. So I'll just start sharing without speaking much. I'm okay.
We can see your screen now. 7 days clarity challenge.
Yeah. Um, I want to start with asking a question from everybody. 1 second. One technical error. Just a second, please.
No worries. And
Here we
till we
go.
finish, just a couple of insights for all the folks who are on the call right now. So, as we've been saying throughout the day, we have an interest form. You can fill out the form and let us know if you'd like to stay in touch for future events, to hear amazing stories like Garima's, Teju, to get to be a part of the mindfulness sessions we had this morning, to connect with people from academia, people from different industries, entrepreneurs, every South Asian immigrant woman leader who has um, who has an ability to share back her insights and wants to connect with us will keep connecting with us. We've seen so much support throughout this conference, just as means of getting that mentorship back to the community. And we are going to continue to scale that up even further nationwide. So please do fill out the interest form. Let us know your interests and topics. And now I think I can give this back to Garima.
I would like for you guys to come along in the journey with me and just experience my journey, plus think about your journey and reflect back how we are more connected than not connected. I just want to start with the opening question. Have you ever felt like you were in a golden cage, as if you have all the facilities, everything that you need to be successful, everything that the world deems as success? Hey, you are in a foreign country, you're earning US dollars, you have a career, you have good family, you have everything that you want in life. What else can you ask for? And yet you feel so empty inside, so unfulfilled, so unhappy, and so dissatisfied. This was me around 10 years ago. And this is how I felt as a migrant woman when I came to the US. I felt completely lonely, isolated, disconnected, controlled by the environment, completely alienated, and very unhappy. Well, more about it. I'll get back to this, but I want to show you the beginning of my journey, like a flashback story. I want to take you back to my childhood, a childhood where I thought I was a superwoman. I thought everything was possible. I was the princess of the house, youngest of the four siblings, loved, pampered. Um, I had a lot of good friendships. My sisters were like my second parents. They always took care of me. Uh, I was very, very successful in my school and college. I got a great job. I would always ace everything. I felt my life was so beautiful. I was so amazed. I had every award that I possibly ran for. Like people used to literally say, Garima, stop going for competitions because you win them. And I used to be like, I want to achieve everything, like right from dance to music to debates to any kind of challenges. Bring it on, bring on life, and I can conquer anything. I really felt invincible. And I got married to a wonderful engineer. My husband, very handsome guy. I really loved him. And I have two beautiful daughters, Ananya and Arshia. Every beautiful thing that I could ever ask for in life. And I had a beautiful career too. I was a training consultant even back then in India. And what I cherished the most is was the relationship and my career. So these were two most important things in my life, and I valued nothing more. Money was not so important to me. A big house was not important to me. Being close to my family and friends and having a fulfilling career were the more important things for me. But then life happened. We moved out of the country. My husband wanted to pursue his dream job, and we came to the US. Actually, before US, we went to Malaysia, but over a period of time, we moved to US. And I gave up my career. I wanted to be with my kids. I just decided kind of like I did not have a job coming into the US, so I was on dependent visa. And when my husband came here, I was like, okay, it's a temporary phase. I'll find something and I'll be able to settle down. But that didn't happen. When I came to the US, I had a very stark realization as a migrant woman that I am not authorized to work because my husband was on H-1B visa and I was on a dependent visa. What hit hard to me was the feeling of being an alien. You know our legal status, right? When we come to America, I was a dependent alien. Something that hit so hard to me that I was like kind of shattered, as in I I felt like I didn't belong to this place. This was not home, and I am an alien. Um, I had no friends, no family, nobody I could call my own. I came to a land where I was a nobody. And every time somebody asked me a question, what brought you to the United States? I would say, I'm following my husband. And it was just a statement at that point. But what really impacted me was if I am following him and I have no purpose in life, then who am I? I am a shadow. Like that's exactly what I had started feeling, that I had no purpose in life. I had no freedom because I was a dependent alien. I could not work, no career, no support system. And there were a lot of stereotypes that I faced when I came in. Slowly but surely, it was taking a toll on me. Uh, it started with just sitting at home, feeling bored, to feeling lonely, to feeling isolated and alienated, feeling super controlled and limited, to a time where I felt like I don't even like the person I see in the mirror anymore because I don't like who that person is. I remember how much problems it created in me. I could not have steady friendships. I lived in California at that time, and I just felt like people looked through me. I would go to my daughter's, get-togethers and school events, and I would just stand there waiting eagerly to make a new friend, and I would just be so disappointed that no, everybody would be in their groups. Nobody would even say hello. And maybe it was just me. It was just unfortunate that it happened to me. Even if people said hi, hello, it was very artificial. It was not like I felt included or I felt like I could have a circle of my own. And it was a big shock, or I would say it was very traumatic for me because growing up in a culture where we had celebrations every week, people over, friends, family, surrounded by love, to a place where I was a nobody and nobody cared, and trying to call my parents. But due to the time zone differences, you can only talk in the morning or talk in the evening, and the whole day you're just sitting when the kids go to school, wondering what to do with my life. The smartphones were not so smart by then, and social media was not such a big thing by then. But watching TV and passing my time was the only thing that I had, and it was very, very boring to say the least. Uh, let's generalize my scenario at this point and talk about the basic challenges that I faced, and I feel not just me, a lot of migrant women face, is social alienation, that you have to literally restart your life. You have no friends and family with people with common interests and understanding, and it takes a long time to create a social circle. You have a cultural alienation as well, because you come from a place where the cultural setup is very different. The dynamics between men and women, the dynamics as a and the role of a woman is very different. The celebrations are so different. You want to celebrate Diwali and Holi and your Indian festivals, and you don't even have vacations during those days, and you miss family, and those cultural belongingness. There's a lot of challenges in forming new support network, and long distance relationship with family is kind of tough. And if you have aging parents, for example, it also adds to a lot of guilt, I would say. I've had so many people who feel guilty for leaving their aging parents back in India, and uh, they one have to give financial support sometimes to them, which causes strain as well. But at the same time, it causes a lot of guilt in their mind that they're pursuing their goals, but people back home are suffering. There's a lot of different expectations, I would say. Let's talk about financials first. Back in India, you have domestic health, and if you come here on a single income, then uh, it's kind of like your financial status reduces, and then you're also struggling because everything is expensive here. You're earning in dollars, but you're spending in dollars too. And a single income often kind of makes it difficult for you to pursue your passions, get domestic help the way you want, etc. And that expectations and dynamics change a lot. So if you're coming single, from, like, if you have come here to study, then handling everything on your own is so tough. Being able to do from A to Z and taking care of your personal health, finances, your house. It's a lot. It's very overwhelming. And even if you're in a family, then the dynamics of how much work there is, and those static roles of society that we've been taught, that women are homemakers and they have to take care of the house. It's very difficult. I've seen and spoken to a lot of married women who find it very, very difficult to manage those expectations, because we live in America, but we want to have a lifestyle of America, but we still have those roles from India. We still want to have those elaborate meals, home cooked meals, and we still want the role of the mom to be the caring mom, always available. So it's very, very challenging, and it causes a lot of problems in parenting as well, because as a parent, you want to be always present, but you are stretched so thin, because of the extra work that the house chores involve. Plus, I would say a lot of factors on cultural upbringing. There's a lot of confusion between where to find that balance. You yourself feel that you are away from your cultural roots, but you want to give those, you want to pass down those cultural uh, nuances and that enrichment to your kids. And there's a lot of juggling on what is the right parenting. You see the parents in United States, and then you know your own, age old parenting back home, and then how do you create a mix? It is a big challenge. I will pause here. I'm actually not able to see the Zoom chat. I would love to hear from everybody what they feel about these challenges, or do they resonate with these challenges, or are there different challenges that they face?
I can quickly go over the chat. Folks, feel free to add your comments as well. I'm gonna read out those to Garima, so she also has that voice from us about how do we feel, what we resonate with. So the social and cultural aspect that you talked about, especially like spot on, Garima. No matter whether you come here as a master student or whether you come here after getting married, right, on that journey, or you come here on a work visa, like everyone goes through this sudden shift altogether and managing everything on their own. And I think, especially when we have moments which are deeply rooted to our culture, like festivals. We go through Diwali, and in Maharashtra we have Ganpati, right? Or the food that reminds us of home, or the cultural ties we have about how we think when we are born and raised in India. Sometimes it causes confusion when you come here. You start questioning a lot of those things, whether it's good or in a challenging way. Absolutely. I think we all feel here. Um, Besides from the actual practical things we have to take care of, which is finances, your immigration, your work, like all of those keeping aside. And I think it adds to that pressure day over day when that starts happening. We have a comment from Lakshmi. The golden cage is what exactly I felt being in H4 for quite some time. And I hear this n- from so many women we speak with at Vahati. It was new to me because I wasn't aware of all the caveats that H4 visa came with earlier. In my mind, I used to think, oh, if you have that H4 visa, you can do business. And I was so wrong. There are so many nuances in there, which I only started learning about later. But yes, it's like a golden cage for sure.
Yeah, and I think we've spoken about it before. As a spouse of a person on H1B, you can still start working when I-140 gets approved for the primary holder. So there is still some hope. Like I waited for 5 years for my authorization to work. So 4 or 5 years I was without a job at sitting at home, but I at least had hope. Consider the children of H1B visa holders. First of all, it takes decades to get green card through H1B, and when you have kids who are becoming adults, like in my case, I have an 18-year-old who's in college now and wants to do internship, they can't. They can never get authorization to work. My daughter is going through college with a hope of never being able to work on H4. And it just is so disappointing and limiting at that point. Well, she has to move to F1 visa if she has to work, but then she becomes an international student. But there are so many nuances that impact socially, emotionally. And I do remember my consoling my daughter who was crying saying, what's the point of me studying if I can't even work? And these are the kids who have grown up in America. They are more American than Indian. And it's very challenging because they don't want to go back to the country anymore. This is their home, but their status is alien. Alien is such a trigger word for me. I don't know why people use it on legal status, but it's very limiting. Um,
Garima, I would like to add one point where, even on work visa, sometimes one day you, let's say, do good at your job, you have a very fulfilling day. And other day you think about visa restrictions, or how I'm still 50 years away from getting green card, and how I can't do my own kind of, business, or all those limitations, right? You kind of keep going back and forth in those positive and negative emotions so much that ultimately after few years you don't know where you belong, right? I mean, are you happy, or are you, in the,
Exactly.
yeah. So that emotional roller coaster is consistent, actually. We don't realize it on a day-to-day basis, but over 15 years time, the previous session we had, it creates so many psychosomatic, concerns that we are not aware about, right?
100%. Yes,
Yeah.
100%. And especially the environment we are in right now, where every company is firing employees. H1B is the target.
Mm-hmm.
You worked here for 10 years, you established your home, you've raised your kid, and all of a sudden you get a notice that you're no longer needed and you have 2 months to go back to your home country. Like, where is the belongingness? Where are my roots? How
Mm-hmm.
do I establish myself as as a person who has an identity and who wants to just belong? I have spent a decade here. I feel I belong to this country, but how do I get that reciprocal assurance or
Mm-hmm.
that sense of belonging? You're
Mm-hmm.
totally right. Yeah. And um, while all these challenges are very, very relevant and very true, I want to specifically talk about the implications it has. Implication on mental health, physical health, financial health, identity crisis, and disempowerment. And that's the golden cage that I was talking about. For me, in that case, it I was just not lonely and isolated. I felt very, very depressed. It was very real for me that there is. It just felt so isolated for me, and it percolated to my physical health. Talking about psychosomatic diseases that you're talking about, I developed thyroid. I had no family history of thyroid, and I developed severe back pain. Severe back pain meaning so limiting that I could not get up from my bed. I could not walk for days and months. And if you really see the psychosomatic reasons for thyroid, for example, it is lack of voice, as in you're not able to articulate what you want to say, and you feel choked and you feel like nobody's listening, my voice doesn't matter. And no matter how educated or fulfilled or flourished I was before coming to this country, it feels like I don't matter. And it was so true for me in that regard. And I developed thyroid, and my doctor very easily told me, hey, you're going to have this thyroid medication for the rest of your life. So it was like a circle of doom for me. Um, Back pain again is a psychosomatic disease. Not I wouldn't say it's a disease, but a condition where if you really see you go and study the psychosomatic reasons, one of the big reasons is lack of support and lack of financial stability. And that's exactly what was happening to me. We went from a earning family to a single earner family, having to do all chores. I felt my standard of living just smashed down. Um, I had no finances. I used to go out to market. People would say, hey, you are earning in dollars. Now you can go and spend. You're so free. You can go to the market and spend money. But I felt so financially dependent that spending $20 on myself for a t-shirt felt like a crime. It felt like I'm taking away from my family's needs. And it just, I had that constant guilt of not earning and not being enough. And it created an identity crisis for me because I had no more purpose. I didn't know. I felt like a shadow, as I just said. And it just felt like I am a nobody and I don't matter. And it was a state of disempowerment. I felt very, very disempowered. And when you have these implications, what I specifically want to talk about is the implications on your relationships. Because when you're so unhappy and you have physical symptoms of hormonal imbalances, right? There's so much of stress and depression going on in your being that you're unregulated, you have hormonal imbalance. It will lead to you being cranky, arguments, conflicts, weakening communication between partners, dwindling emotional intimacy, breaking of trust. I have so many clients who come to me, migrant clients who come to me and say, "Hey, I'm so unhappy in my current marriage that I am finding love and happiness outside my marriage," which means infidelity, which means people are cheating on their partners because they're not happy in the house. It leads to a lot of breakups. If you have, I don't remember the exact statistics, but it showed, I feel that when we had pandemic, right, a lot of insecurity was there around jobs and finances and everything, and people lived with each other. I feel that that was a test for relationships. Good relationships became better, bad relationships became worse. And there have been so many cases of breakups. And I would say my clientele for breakups and relationship coaching have increased because most of the conflicts started in pandemic when people were together and they were so frustrated and angry at each other. So breakups and heartaches happen, and patterns of attracting wrong partners. This is something that I want to go in details, and it especially um, holds true for young women. Let's say my situation was very different when I came with an established marriage with kids, and I had to go through a journey of who am I anymore. But a lot of young girls come to study, come to do jobs. They are very financially independent, but all these challenges that they face in a new country, in a new place, also creates identity conflicts in their minds, and it leads to them not being able to keep and sustain good relationships. They have frequent breakups, especially because of cultural differences, right? Back in India, the expectations are different. And then if they date a person from a different culture, then there are certain differences, and you can't find common ground sometimes. But even if you marry or get engaged, or are going around with a person with the same culture, it's again a conflict because you have a programming of Indian society, but you're living in America. So it's such a huge difference in the way a man is supposed to work, a woman is supposed to work back there and here, and girls want to have more freedom. Whereas sometimes, like I'm just giving an example, a boy expects something out of a girl, and it creates a problem. The young girls are not able to keep their partners. They're having very frequent breakups, and they're getting into a pattern of heartaches and not being able to find a compatible partner. And I want to share a few examples with you of some of my clients. And one of the things that we say is what you do not resolve repeats. And these are the patterns I have noticed in my clients when they come to me for relationship coaching. There has been a pattern of what kind of people they attract. So some of them attract abusive partners who keep like it's like you meet new people, you date new people, but they are the same person in the background. They're just they make you feel miserable, they make you feel less than, they just put you down. And I'll share an example of my client Nidhi. Again, I want to give a disclaimer here. I'm a relationship coach, and as a part of my coaching, I sign a waiver that I'll never disclose their names unless they want. They agree to, and they give me a testimonial and they give me permissions. So the names that I'm using here are changed. They are not the original people. But I have permission to share their story. So Niti always shared attracted overpowering men who demeaned her, who made her less than always. And she felt like she was not good enough, she was not smart enough, she was not pretty. And it's because of how the men treated her in her life. It was first her boyfriend and then her husband, who literally put that auto programming on for her. Sophia, who attracted broke and abusive men. It was very it was the pattern in her life was so, like, I don't have a word for it. It was such a pertinent uh, pattern that first, she had three divorces, by the way. This girl has had three divorces, and in all the three divorces she said, I married absolutely normal men, and then they don't want to work anymore and they just want to sit at the house and abuse me, and I'm providing for the family, I'm bringing the finances in, and then I also hear nonsense. They don't want to work, they don't want to cook, they don't want to do anything. And we were like, that is very strange, we'll have to go deeper. But that's a pattern that she was attracting. Devi was attracting men who could not see her worth, who would not take her for who she was, and she always felt worthless in the company of those men. June attracted men who rejected and abandoned her. And she was in a marriage, but she was always afraid that her husband would dump her. And this pattern continued time and again. Diti, oh my God, this girl literally felt sick to get attention and love. She felt so worthless, but she would get love every time she felt sick. So it was kind of, again, I don't want to go too deep into the patterns because we were talking about the impact, but in my coaching goes into deeper into subconscious programming and a lot of patterns that people face in life. And uh, this particular client was a fantastic human being, but she felt that she was never loved. And to get the love, she that sickness was serving its purpose, so to say, right? That every time she fell sick, she got the love and attention she deserved. So she actually fell sick, and it was not a good situation. And Mid was a person who would attract sick people because she would feel worthy by serving others. She didn't feel that she was worthy in herself, and she would attract a sick mother-in-law, a sick husband, like, and she felt worthy by just being, somebody who can attend to them because then they would be nice to her. Anyhow, these are very deep things. I didn't want to get into those patterns as such too much, but the fact is it starts very small. It starts with you feeling, hey, I'm here in this new country, and I have to reestablish myself. I have to find my cultural roots, and it just goes from there to a feeling of not being good enough, to a feeling of stress, depression, physical problems in the relationships, and then attracting wrong kind of men. But I did not intend to share all these to declare a doomsday, because there is hope. There is hope, and the first and most important part is to accept these realities and know that these challenges exist, and also know that opportunities exist. So just like we have so many challenges, there is hope in life. And in my case, like, getting back to my story, it started with a big realization. I was extremely disempowered and unhappy, and I was like, I hate this country, I hate my relationship, I want to quit it all and move on. But the realization that I had was, even if I move out of the country or my relationship, I would still carry my disempowered self out of this relationship and the country. And that hit me hard, because no matter where you go, you will carry yourself, right? And this realization helped me dig deeper. And I really started that introspection process. And I was like, you know what? This old programming sucks, and I have to tear it off, and I have to get a new programming for myself. And I started taking charge of myself. Um, I needed to find my voice. Remember, I told you I felt I'm not heard. My voice doesn't matter. So I started to find my voice. I joined a Toastmasters club and I started expressing myself more and more. I found another way of expressing myself and finding my cultural roots. I was a person who loved celebrations, who liked colors, music, dance, fun. So I started teaching Bollywood dance. I did not have friends and community, but through my dance classes, I created a community of fantastic females. Most of my clients were females, anyways, and it used to be like, hey, come once a week, dump your problems, your stress, your work-life imbalances, and just come and spend that time with yourself. I started feeling more and more empowered, started creating every penny counts, is what they say, right? So every step that I took towards making me happy started helping me. I took a lot of coaching, mentoring. I'm so grateful for all the mentors and coaches who've helped me along the way, because they helped me understand where I was carrying some beliefs and wrong programming, and I was tying myself down. And that was really empowering for me. Fast forward, I want to share my real introduction with you at this point, that I'm working in a fantastic company. I have a very flourishing career. I've spoken at multiple places. I've won awards. But this is the professional and career side of me. I'm financially independent at this point. But more importantly, I'm happy because I've been able to follow my passion. I This is the photograph of me when the top right. I won a talent show. I've performed at multiple stages. Even at Amazon, there was a talent show, and I performed at the mega finals. I've made friends from different communities, cultures. And one question that I keep getting asked whenever I share my story is, what happened to your husband? Did you end up leaving him? No, I have maintained my relationship, and I'm happy to say that I'm happy and I have a thriving relationship. And my relationship with my daughters is so precious to me. And I think I've found my roots within a foreign country, and I have found my wings at the same time, where I'm able to ground myself and still reach out and flourish. Um, and now I also help other women through my coaching program called Conscious Connections with Garima. And I did not just call myself a relationship coach, and I called it Conscious Connections because I think the most important connection or relationship is with yourself. And a lot of time we lose that relationship equation in this transition. Coming to a foreign land, you start feeling foreign yourself. You don't know what you want anymore, where you are going, who you are. And that relationship, once established, then has a trickle effect, and it changes every kind of relationship. And that's what I teach to people in my coaching, is those 5 stages of relationship journey, which is, first is awareness, where you are. And a lot of time it is, people are just unhappy. They don't know what they're unhappy about. Awareness of where they are, clarity on where they want to go. A lot of time I ask people, what do you want out of life? And they say, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I'm just unhappy. I just want to be happy. But they do not know a definition of what that means for them. So getting that clarity and is so, so important, because it's like GPS. If you do not know where you are, you don't know where you want to go, then you're stuck. You're stuck to where you are. The very important step is healing and creating a new blueprint, which leads to empowerment. And I will very briefly share all these things in the here. Uh, the most important part, I would say, is finding the root cause, and identifying the root cause of a relationship problem is very tough because it's hidden behind so many layers. As I said, it first is emotional problem, then it becomes a physical problem, financial problem, and then it trickles down to relationships. So you might have fights and you're arguing, you have a power uh, game going on with your partner, and you don't realize. It's often that you have to do a root cause analysis, and you find sometimes that it's because of unmet emotional needs, that a person doesn't feel heard, seen, or understood in a relationship. They could be a trauma. Trauma could be anything, because trauma could be moving to another country and feeling isolated. Trauma could be a divorce. Trauma could be a breakup. It could be a loss of a loved one. It could be like an accident where you start you have problems and you're not able to walk properly, or anything that happens physically and it destroys your self-image. It could even be rooted in the childhood programming and your upbringing, how you were, how sometimes girls are told, don't shine bright, don't be loud, hide your legs, do this, do that, and it really limits you. And oftentimes, what I have seen women do, especially, is they dim their light. Um, and it's a natural thing for them because they don't want to outshine others. They don't want to be too boisterous, so to say. But the deeper I went into, finding root causes, I even figured out that a lot of time it's birth and gestational trauma that can cause problems in relationship. It could be like I had a client who was an accident child, and her parents wanted to abort her, and there was a lot of conflict in the family around her being a girl and being born in the Indian society, and it created a lot of problems in her life throughout her life. She was not even aware of them until we started doing this deep work. And ancestral patterns. I'm not getting too deep into it, but if there are questions, I'll get into these things. I just want to keep them cursory at this point. And archetype distortions. We have a lot of archetypes. A warrior archetype, masculine archetype, queen archetype. And a lot of time there are distortions in those archetypes. For me, I growing up, I had the queen archetype, and I felt like that I can do anything, and this world is my kingdom, and I'm the queen. And then all of a sudden, I felt like a nobody, and I took on my warrior because I was wounded and I wanted to protect myself, and I would fight, and I would just take out my sword and fight with anybody who came in my way. And that led to a lot of problems in my life. I'll not get into emotional root. It's pretty self speaking, like lack of worthiness, belongingness, deserving, that I deserve to spend the $20 on myself. I belong to this foreign country. I'm worthy. I'm smart. I'm beautiful. All these things cause problems. But what do you do for healing? Now, healing could be as simple as having a friend or a community like Vahati, where you can come and hear stories from other women, where you can get cultural support. That matters a lot. It could just be as simple as making friends and reaching out and having common stories, and just feeling like, oh, I belong. I feel heard, and I really want to congratulate the whole entire team of Vahati for the this reason, because I think you're creating a beautiful environment for migrant women to find home. which is super important. But I just wanted to share what healing looks like if with my clients, what we do. I personally use a variety of tools. I use modern coaching techniques, which could involve like just talking, doing journaling, and doing exercises. Um, but I also do something called quantum release therapy. I believe that trauma, once that happens, it goes and houses in your physical body, mental body, and I even say generational bodies, that a mother once wounded passes on that wound to their child, and who passes on to their child. So this quantum release therapy is a fantastic tool. It changed my life. And once you identify the root cause of your problem, it helps you identify the root cause, but it also helps you release those. And I don't know if people can equate. It's very deep and very different, but the closest therapy that you would have heard of is hypnosis. But it's 10 times more powerful than hypnosis, is what I would say. Subconscious reprogramming. When we have a trauma, we create a story, and that story then creates our narrative. And we just have to change that programming, and we do it at a subconscious level. We use neuro-linguistic programming. We use trigger management. If somebody is not willing to go deep into subconscious programming, not get very emotional in the beginning, we just do things like trigger management, where we figure out what triggers you. And if something triggers you, means there is a wound inside you that needs healing. For example, if somebody comes and tells you, "Hey, you put on some weight," if you feel comfortable in your skin, you won't even think about it. But if you're already feeling conscious about your body, that might hit hard, and you'll start thinking about, what dress am I wearing? Should I be wearing that? Oh my God, she said I'm putting on weight, I've become fat, I may be looking ugly, this and that. So if if there is a feeling or insecurity inside you, you'll start feeling it, at which time you do trigger management. And once you heal that trigger, the root cause of that trigger, it would not matter what people say. They would come and say, I'll give you an example. Anything my husband ever, suggested to me felt like control to me earlier, in those earlier days. And he would suggest, say, "Hey, we should do this." And I would say, "Oh, he wants to dictate how I should spend my day. Oh, he wants to dictate because he wants to control me." And it used to hurt me because I felt powerless, and I felt like he was controlling me, because it used to trigger me like hell, and that used to be a cause of our fights most of the times. But now that I feel empowered, I feel I have the power, I don't need that power struggle. If he gives me a suggestion, I sit and reflect and say, okay, this is what he says. If it applies to me, I do it. If I don't, I give him a rationale and we reason it out. So a lot of things have changed in my relationship because of my healing, and that's what we do. Um, and self-image work, we do archetype reprogramming, which is what I said. I had to tell my warrior to take a step back and let the queen come in front. So we do a lot of archetype work, and we do self-image work. Um, Again, results, I want to just very quickly share. If there are questions, I can go deeper into how we work with this, and that could clarify one of the questions that I see in the chat, which says, how do you know which healing technique is good for you? And that's where, when I said getting to understand the situation is very important, I spend actually 2 whole sessions understanding your situation from your childhood to your entire journey, and figure out, through trigger words and through quantum release therapy, what the real cause is. In certain cases, it could be just a simple impact of migration, like I had with my friend. I'll just share these examples. But Sylvia, for example, did not want any commitment, did not want to raise a family, and we figured out her problems were like, every time she went close to a male and try to get physically intimate, she would get a panic attack or she'll have a UTI. And we figured out that her problem was she was molested in her childhood, and she had an abusive father. And every time she tried to come closer to a man, that would create, her body would start reacting because that trauma was stored in her body, and then we had to release it. She said that she never had a normal conversation. She could not sit on a dining table with her father ever. Um, but now she is in a very good relationship. She actually lives in Argentina, and she's planning a family with her partner, Sophia, who attracted broke men who would always, give up her, their jobs and not earn money. We figured out her uncle in childhood used to gift her toys and money in exchange of physical favors. So she had promised herself that she would never exchange physical intimacy for money. And she would one day, that was an archetype thing that she was like, I am the warrior. I would be financially free. I would never have to take, favors from men. But it went to such an extreme that she started attracting broke men. Again, very very deep things. Don't want to get into details at this point, but just wanted to say how things that sound and look very subtle on the surface can go very very deep. And things like migration and not being able to work, not being able to figure out your identity can really impact and bring up those wounds from childhoods and other situations, and can and create self-worth problem, and then problems in relationships. um
It's
I
astounding.
Yeah,
It's actually very astounding how on the surface level, the image could look very successful, right? You shared an example of a lady earning for herself and her like household in entirety, she being the breadwinner, and feeling so broke inside, right? Like exactly the opposite. And it- the harder it gets for an individual to acknowledge it or even like be aware about it, the longer it takes to actually get to a solution, because you might not even realize that it's happening to me on a daily basis, or like it's accumulating over the time until it hits that threshold where a person goes like, no more, like I can't take this, this is it. And a lot of times, based on the conversations we've had at Vahati or even in general around emotional resilience, those are the points where an individual either um, leads to a breakdown or a breakthrough, right? Like who you have besides you in that moment is so crucial, or what is your support system, be it therapy, be it coaches, mentors, be it your partners. It is so important, even having that environment around you um, that supports you in the right direction, because it is hard as it is, and with the wrong environment it can really lead to like harmful results.
absolutely. And that's why the, like, you should ask yourself what I am doing. Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Am I doing it for my own fulfillment, or am I doing it to prove myself?
Mm.
Am I the love that I'm giving to somebody, is it because I feel empty and I want their approval in return? Or is it because I'm so happy and loving myself that the love pours out of me and I'm doing something for others, just to get the love? No, not to get the love, to just to give the love. It's like selfless love to pets. You're just, they're so full of energy, so full of love, that all they want is your love, and that's pure form of love, right? There is no expectations involved. So yeah, I would say, if you have a problem, if any one of you are having a problem, do not take it lightly. Reach out to forums like Bhati, reach out to a therapist, reach out to a coach. Or for all you know, there's nothing, and there's a slight thing just a course correction can help you. But if there's something deeper, better resolve it, because you want to find your roots and your wings. A lot of times, what happens for migrant women is they don't feel the feeling of belonging. For example, for 8 years after moving to US, my heart was in US. Every time somebody said, "Where's home?" I would say India. I would not say California. And I had to do conscious efforts to bring my heart back here and feel like this is my place, even though I am called alien. The trigger word, right? Talking about trigger management, it used to trigger me that I am an alien. The word alien used to just make me furious. But now I can talk about it because I have healed myself. I know I belong here. I have a family here. I have strong foundations and roots. And once you develop those roots, then you can stretch out, you can flourish. The logo of my company actually means a lot to me, and it's exactly representing roots and wings. The colors that you see, the pink and green, actually represents feminine and masculine. And I say, when you are in harmony with your feminine and masculine, when you're completely grounded in who you are, you have found your identity and your purpose, then these petals actually represent wings. Then you can flourish and you can blossom and you can spread love around. This logo is not just a logo, it's the story that I want to tell people. And I wish each one of you here and your families flourish this way, that they feel grounded, they feel deep into the roots, they feel like they belong here, and yet they can flourish, they can have the freedom and happiness to flourish. I'm still an alien, I'm still not on green card. I'm still a person who has the same exact situation where I was 10 years ago, but yet I'm a more fulfilled, happy person, and I wish the same upon all of you.
Thank you, Garima. It is, for one thing, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of vulnerability to share such a deep story of yourself, right, with others. And for second thing, the thing I admire the most is admitting, acknowledging, coming out of it, and then be like, hey, I want to do something about this because this was not okay, right? What happened with me was not okay. And not only that, but I take one step forward and I want to now help others who might be going through a similar story, not even knowing what are the roots of, like, what are the causes of it, but just trying to deal with it on a daily basis. I think I really admire the mission behind the aspect, like behind what nudged you in this direction, and kudos to you for starting that off.
Yeah, I think every woman has a story inside, and I really wish empowerment upon every woman that they can share and influence 10 more women out there. So we create a ripple effect and a revolution of self love and empowerment. So, yay to womanhood!
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to have you with us. And hopefully in future we actually do something in person as well. We would like to bring in mentors, guides like you, and the diverse topics that we cover more in person as well, because it creates like a deeper connection, and it creates a space where people can ask more questions more openly, especially given the topics we touch upon and things we talk about. And it's so amazing to be able to connect even across the coasts. I know you are in Texas and we are like, we are spread across, but the whole concept behind Vahati is you don't have to wait for someone to be nearby your area. Like, there are so many stories that have happened and people are doing something of their own about it. Let's connect everyone through a platform so that knowledge can be shared, and we can uplift each other. And we do have a few questions for you. They're anonymous. If you're okay, I can read it aloud to you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So the first question we have is, as a relationship coach, you partly answered it, but I'm still gonna read it. Have you come across situations where the partners were actually a misfit for each other? So like there was healing the relationship was not the end goal, healing the person and knowing that the relationship is wrong, right? And what was your role as a relationship coach in that case? Um, okay. I'm guessing that the question goes in the sense of like, is it something that you would be able to suggest, or is it something that you'd be able to nudge a person in the direction of thinking?
Actually, I felt that way 10 years ago, that I was not the right fit. Like me and my partner were not the right fit. But I would urge, like, the slide that you saw in the beginning is called a clarity challenge. I actually have an online course, especially for people who are confused, who are trying to make a strategic decision in their life, whether they should leave, or they should quit a relationship, or should they stay. Because, and if you really see my statement, I really want to help women who are confused in their relationships. And I say, before you say I quit, do this clarity challenge, because there's so many layers involved, and there are so many things that you need to answer, um, that cannot be said in just one statement. Like, I would give you my example. I thought we were totally misfit. I'm an extreme extrovert, he's an extreme introvert. He wants something else in life, I want something else in life. Our dreams are different, everything about us was absolutely different, and we had so many conflicts, so many problems. And now we accept our differences. Like in our Amazon, it's disagree and commit, right? So I would say, before you even say that we are not fit for each other, I would highly urge that you take that course and go through that journey and answer some key questions to yourself. And if then you feel, yes, staying in this relationship is not worth the time and effort, go ahead and do it. But oftentimes people make decision through emotional wounds, and once you solve those, you get much more clarity.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is something that many mentors have said. It's kind of like, in that moment of impulsive reaction, are you able to take a step back and think through clarity? Or is this something that you're doing because just you're just so fed up and can't, right? Like, are you making bad decisions just for the sake of making decision, or are you making decisions from the perspective of what is it that I align with in my life, and why do I feel a certain way right now? I I I think it applies, not just in relationships, even at work when we have conflicts, in social settings when we are with our friends or new acquaintances. I agree with you. It's kind of like having that clarity is super important, and as common sense as it sounds, it's not easy when you're already overwhelmed.
Yeah, and the regret of taking a wrong decision is really, really bad. I have a client who had a divorce, has been trying, has dated multiple men, has not found a single good man, and she says, "I wish I had worked my first relationship out." So the consequences can be damaging. These are permanent, one way door decisions, right? So if you feel, in fact, I would say, Surabhi, if somebody is feeling that way, you remember I offered a gift in the beginning. We can offer to that anonymous person, if they want to talk to me, I would like to offer a free consultation session to see and help them out as much as I can.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. We have one more question. Does the relationship issue happens because of our situation in US, or is it about in general?
Um, a lot of relationship problems exist in people who are living in India. But I would say I have seen migration per se causes so many problems. And here, although I work with American women, I have worked with women in Argentina and other places. A lot of my clients are migrant women because I understand their situation. So when you work, relationship problems are universal, but I would say I understand the situation of migrant women so well that I have a huge success with them.
Yeah. And I think so, based on the hundreds of conversations we've had at Wahati, the way migration plays a role, it's so subtle sometimes and it's so big. Just sharing a couple examples, I shared earlier that I had no idea about the H4 story or the being stuck on a dependent visa. I used to think, hey, they have the freedom of doing their own business because I had seen some realtors in the area who were, doing businesses on their own. And I would feel like, oh, H1B is so restrictive. Until I found out that your partner's I-140 has to be approved. Like there are so many hoops to cross through to get to that stage. And then many of the women who connected with us through Hati mentioned that even their partner had no idea of how long it would take to to that stage, right? So earlier they were optimistic when they got married, maybe a year or two or next year, and then layoffs happen, things happen, fire, people get fired from their job, or when companies like Meta, Google fire people from their job, they have to pause on the immigration processes and stuff. And through that unfortunate situation, now the spouse ends up being in that cage again. Hey, you said it was supposed to be this year, but it's taken me like 4 years and we are still stuck. And it creates such a friction because it's not really a fault of anybody, but it has such a huge impact, right? On the individual that now suddenly feels like my financial freedom is gone. And it's not about money, it's about having that empowerment that is gone. And secondly, through that, it causes like ripple effects on the other partner as well. And it goes beyond control sometimes. And it's as disheartening as it sounds, these are all like real human life necessities, right? The sense of belonging, the sense of feeling like you are empowered, you get to do what you want, you get to earn money. When those basic things are cut off, it has a huge impact. So I think migration adds to the layer of complexities. And the reason it feels so frustrating is because we feel like we have no control over it. You don't get to control when that I-140 is getting approved. You don't get to control when Meta announces layoffs, right? So it
Right.
feels frustrating, even beyond the things you control. So just wanted to add it for anyone
Yeah.
who's
No, 100%. And I see a comment in the chat. It says, I hear that the divorce rates in migrants are lesser because they are more codependent in a new country versus in home country where they have alternate support systems. Is this true? 100%. Again, going back to my story, when I wanted to quit the country, quit the relationship, I had two kids, right? If I quit the relationship, I was on dependent visa. I had to go back to India, and which would mean that I would lose my kids. That that was a situation where I was like, I have no choice. Like I'm in a that's why the cage, right? That I do not have a choice. I can't leave my kids, I can't leave the country, and I have to stick in this relationship. And that's all because of the migration story. If I was back in India, might have felt more empowered. First of all, I would not lose my job, right? And then I would feel more empowered to make a decision on my own. And in migrate, when you have an independent visa, I have seen women become more empowered and they leave relationships just too quickly. That's another extreme. But when you're on a dependent visa, you are in like a dead doom cycle. Like you don't know, you can't go out, you can't stay in, and it just is difficult.
we have one more question. I think it's a general question. With the legal system being the way it is, anyone on the call, feel free to chime in because I think it's a question to the forum here. Did you consider returning to India for good? If yes, what made you persevere? I think Garima already answered that just now. And as tragic as it sounds, this is where the part of people saying, oh, unconditional love in your marriage and stuff. And then the reality of there are so many consequences with the things you don't even know. It hits hard. Did anyone else consider like any other parameters for staying in US versus returning to India? And what are your factors, I guess, while you try to make that decision or while you think about it, would be a question I would frame to the forum. I want to share my side of the story. When COVID happened, when I saw my parents being in difficult situations, and when I couldn't do something about it, that was the time when I considered. if I should go back to India because that guilt was killing me inside. And at the same time, what I realized at that point was if I'm able to support them, be it remotely or physically, and if I'm able to work with my siblings to make it happen, right? Be it the means of like adding financial stability, just being here by the virtue of the income I earn here. That was one way I found at the time because I felt stuck at the time because I couldn't exactly move back and I couldn't exactly feel happy staying here. So the way I found for myself at the time was trying to help in whichever way financially I could. Doesn't mean that that guilt went away, but it gave me more clarity in the long run about what was important to me, right? Until then, promotions at work maybe were more important to me. And when those moments hit hard, it was very clear to me that, hey, like having that freedom of helping my family the way I wish to or the way I choose to was extremely important to me. And everyone has their own personal non-negotiables in life, right? I think that's what we found out, like we find out. So if anyone has any other parameters you've considered, feel free to share here. I also want to share, Garima, thank you for offering the consultation sessions for Bhati members. So sharing real quick about Garima and her gift to Vahati members here. Garima has graciously offered free coaching session worth $150 for 45 minutes. And I think by now we get a pretty good picture of the situations Garima has been helping with, or like, her clients have been in. So with that being said, you can choose to use this gift certificate if you are a Vahati Circle member. And if you want to find out more about what is it to be a Vahati Circle member, Sandhya or Jane, if you could post the link to Stay in Touch form with Vahati one more time. Feel free to fill in that form and let us know. Even the coupons we got with Mind Body Zone, essentially these are all our partner organizations or partner experts who want to extend their support to the community. And we are offering these benefits to Bhati Circle members starting today. So feel free to reach out, and it's on first come, first serve basis. So whoever wants to take advantage of it, you're welcome to reach out and let us know in the form. You can add more comments about it as well.